So I think I'm going to start, just leaving a couple of seconds to see if someone will join. But as this video stays after in the YouTube channel, I think it's better to start now. And then if someone comes in and obviously have questions, you know, that you guys can ask me whenever it's convenient for you. I am going to start with a little introduction. My name is Lisa. I am an occupational therapist. I work with children with special needs at Panacea Therapy Center. And we are in Malta. Basically, that's all. Yes. As an occupational therapist, I work with different difficulties, different ages, different children with different ages. And basically our role as an occupational therapist is to try to make the child as much as possible independent in different areas and different skills. Today or yesterday, I had a mom who basically contacted me to ask which services we are offering at Panacea. And I said that for the moment, because it's very difficult to find a speech therapist, we are offering occupational therapy. And when she told me like not what it is, but kind of like what it is about, it was quite challenging to put what is occupational therapy in a small message, no, just to answer, because it's such a big profession, such a wide profession, no, with different areas, different interventions and methodologies. But my purpose, it's my job. I am dedicating myself to work in pediatric area, basically with children. And we work with children with autism. Hello. We work with children with autism. We work with children with different difficulties. So ADHD, dyspraxia, sensory processing, global developmental delay, different rare conditions, neurological conditions, etc., etc. I'm very good. Hope you are too. Hi. What's my credit score? You mean when I finished my university degree? That was a couple of years ago. I don't remember, you know. I am calm, very calm. So, I'm calling from Malta. I am going live from Malta. And as I was saying before, we work with children with special needs. So I am a therapist. No, I am not a nurse. I'm a therapist. Yes, I work on more in rehabilitation. Okay, let's keep it to the topic. I work more in rehabilitation and basically I work with children from different disabilities, no? Hello, Taylor Espinosa. So welcome to the channel. Welcome to this chat with Lisa. The idea is, besides having a little bit of some funny topics, etc., the idea is to talk a little bit about what I do and see if I can help you or maybe answer some of your questions. What do you do work at? We are here from Malta. It's a small island close to Italy. And yes, what I do is I work with children with special needs. What we do is help them to be able to walk, talk, write, be independent in their daily life. So yes, basically that's what we do. That's what I'm doing. And today's topic, every Wednesday I connect, and at 7:30 we have this little chat where obviously you can ask me questions and I will be answering. And the idea is to talk about what is my profession. and obviously try to remove everything what is super mega funny, and I'm not going to follow that, guys. Okay, so thank you, the Birds brother and Sammy. I am fellow YouTuber. Thank you very much for following. Thank you very much for watching the videos and for connecting, you know, that's the purpose a little bit. What do you think is the best part of my job? I am, so I think the best part of my job is that I can see that with my job I can help other children that they improve. So let's say if a kid is coming here to my session and he has difficulties with writing, then he can be better at school. Or if he doesn't walk, he start to walk. Or if the child cannot eat certain food, maybe then we can help him to tolerate different food. So basically our impact as an occupational therapist is very important in the daily life of certain kids. Yes, I think it's a great job. I am very happy and I'm very Samuel Bosco, you don't have to subscribe if you don't feel like. I will be much appreciated if you can subscribe, but I'm not going to say something that I don't know. So I want to come back to the topic that yes, I do like my job a lot, and I do think that it's important. Not only my job, every job that it goes with within the therapy area. So yes, today's topic it's about tiptoeing. So for those who don't know, and for those who maybe this topic can be a little bit boring, so I totally understand you, but the job here is to connect every Wednesday and to talk about these things, you know, to be able to help families and to be able to help maybe educators to educate themselves better, or therapists, etc. Do you think that kids with special needs are cared for properly in schools and educational institutions? Very good question. Very good question. Ooh, it's a difficult question, but I do think that you have very good schools, but it not always it's enough. I do think that still we have many educators who don't know about disability, and they don't know how to actually properly treat the children, and how to, you know, do certain exercises, how to work on inclusion, and how to actually make them participate in activities that other kids are doing. So I think depends on which country you are, but let's say I will speak how it's in Malta. I think the level is it's growing up and it's getting better and better. However, we still lack on certain things, no? But that's, I think, will happen in any country. I think it's the same like in therapists. You can meet a good therapist, or you can meet someone who doesn't really know. That's not an issue of the institution, the country, whatever. It's an issue of the professionalism from the part of the therapist, no? And it's true that sometimes some certain schools are not pushing so much the training of their teachers. Not all the schools. You have schools that are working very, very well, you know, but definitely we need to work a little bit more for inclusion, because the inclusion, it's a big topic, you know. Many people talks about inclusion in the way that, you know, if I do an activity and I write the title inclusion, it means that I really include kids with special needs. The issue is that many times I go to schools and I work with schools and childcares, and I don't see that inclusion happening very often. And unfortunately, you need to push a lot. Depends on the parents, depends on the therapist, depends on the school. Sometimes you can achieve really great stuff and you can get really good results in a scholastic year, and sometimes it's very complicated. So, and it's a pity, because obviously we go to the school for a whole year. If we don't have a good support, if we don't have a good school, making sure that the child is improving and the child is, you know, getting better and going to learn, it's for nothing, no? So that's something that I highly suggest you, that if you are facing or you are working with someone with special needs, Make sure that you are involved with the schools. Ask how he's doing at school, how maybe you need to pay a visit to the school, maybe you need to involve yourself during the PE lessons, you know, to teach the teacher how to actually work with the kid. But try to, I always suggest to the therapist, don't be afraid, go for it. If you're a parent and you are watching this video, don't hesitate to include your therapist. That's the reason why you're having a therapist. It's to have your back, kind of, you're going for therapy because you need to improve your kids' abilities. But it's not only the therapist who will do the job. The job is done by the family, the job is done by the therapist, and the job is done by the school. Depends obviously of which age we are talking, but independently what is the age, the school has also a responsibility. Yes. Hi, thank you for joining. Okay. So I'm going just to read it loud. Hello, came across your live video randomly. Okay, I hope it's not going to be randomly for next time. I am live every Wednesday 7:30. I am ISLP, which means speech language pathologist from India. Hi to India. This is Malta. Can OT correct tiptoeing in children with ASD, which means autism, and other issues? Any other therapies needed? No, an occupational therapist, so yes and no. Yes, the occupational therapist can correct the tiptoeing and you don't need other therapists. Sometimes you can work with a physiotherapist, but you don't really need it. Occupational therapists are fully trained and equipped with many activities that can correct tiptoeing. And this is the topic of today. Not only for children with autism, okay? Tiptoeing, it's not related straight away with autism. Sometimes it can be because of the sensory issues of the child. So you have more it's more frequent to see tiptoeing in children with autism, but it can be also in children with sensory processing disorder, can be children with ADHD, and sometimes ADHD and autism, no? It could be children who started to walk later, and before they start actually walking, they go on their tiptoes. So tiptoeing, it's basically meaning I walk on my toes. So if these are my toes or my foot, I am walking like this instead of walking with a flat foot on the ground. But the topic of today, tiptoeing, no, if it's a sensory or if it's a behavior. I would love to hear from you. What do you think? One of the, or it's sensory, it's behavior. Because many times I have parents coming for therapy session asking about tiptoeing and asking about how we can correct it. But first thing that you need to do is to make sure to differentiate if it's a sensory need or it's a behavior need. Because these two factors will be always overlapping and they always work together. I already spoke in some of my other videos that behavior and sensory, they are like brother and sister. They always goes together. So we have to be very careful when we work on sensory and on certain sensory needs to make sure that it's coming from sensory difficulty or it is coming because of the behavior. Now, so if you're having a child, I'm going to answer your question. If you're having a child who is having tiptoeing, normally occupational therapists should manage and should work on it. And most of the time, it is something that we can do and we can get really good results. But all depends on the age of the child and how advanced is that tiptoeing. If it's the first stage or it's really advanced, depends. So sometimes you might end up in surgery, sometimes you might end up in physiotherapy for more rehabilitation, because obviously all the joints and the muscles are not functioning properly, so you need a little bit more of extra help from a physiotherapist. But in my experience, most of the time we work them here in the clinic as an occupational therapist without any issues. So my question was if it's sensory or it's behavior, and I'm going to try to explain it the two scenarios So then you can also have it clear for you, no? When you will have a child, or if you know someone who tiptoes, or I don't know, you will see someone who is looking for an answer, you can always help out. So from occupational therapy point of view, when I see a kid who is tiptoeing, I will first do in my first consultation provide different textures to see if the child is tiptoeing in certain places. So for example, on the mat, or on the floor, or maybe in the parquet, or maybe in certain spiky cushions, or the child is tiptoeing everywhere. So doesn't matter what is the floor, what is the texture, the child is still using tiptoeing. So it's very important, no? So I will do my first consultation, my first observations are going to come from there. I'm going to put maybe vibrating cushions, vibrating platform, different cushions, not vibrating cushions, we don't have them, cushions for him to walk on. We will put different obstacles around to see if the child is tiptoeing everywhere or just in some moments. And from there we can do our conclusions. When the child is tiptoeing in certain textures and surfaces in others no, then we can, in another session, we can only provide that texture, that surface that you saw the child is tiptoeing, and see if we can work in that. Yes, and that's if it's sensory. So most of the time, if it's sensory, by providing different textures should be okay. Now, if we are using vibration, we are using oils for massages and stuff, also should be okay. On another moment, when you observe that the child actually is not tiptoeing everywhere, but only in certain moments, is when we can say like, maybe it is not coming from sensory, but maybe when the child is extremely hyper, or maybe frustrated, or extremely happy, which will be equivalent not to hyper because he's exposed to a funny moment, or maybe a momentum where he feels the need, the urge to tiptoe. So here it's a little bit, I would say, plays the behavior. The child doesn't know how to regulate his emotions, and he somehow or she finds useful to use the tiptoeing as a way to regulate his emotions. But it's a mix between behavior and still regulation, no? Which is also part of sensory system. But I try to do the differentiation, because then otherwise we are always in the same loop, kind of, like, okay, it is sensory, it is behavior, it is sensory, it is behavior. So sensory, you can work it out with a couple of sessions, should be fine. But if it's behavior, you need to work with sensory and behaviors at the same time, making sure that you make sure that to show the child how to regulate the emotions, you expose him to different momentums when you can teach other techniques how to express his emotions, so he doesn't go always for tiptoeing. So that's very, very important, and I will say that it's a great point to observe if you're having a child with tiptoeing, if the child is doing because of sensory need or because the child is its behavior. Both are corrected. However, if we don't teach a proper way how to go about regulation of emotions and how to deal with certain momentums that the child feels the urge to actually tiptoe, it's going to persist for a very long time. I have children here at the age of 14, they are still tiptoeing, which is not a very good sign. 14, 12, everything that it has to be up to 7, 8 years old, it's still manageable. It's not meaning that it's not manageable at 14, but obviously you have to understand that the body is growing, the muscles are growing, and the tolerance to certain activities, it's also not the same. It's not the same when you're asking a child to tolerate an activity or stretching activities for the tiptoeing of 6 years old, or when you ask a kid of 14 or 13 or 12. If you add non-verbal, or if you have some behavior difficulties, or if you add, some severe autism on top, obviously it becomes very, very difficult. So I always try to say, like, if you know someone with tiptoeing, go for it. So often I go to the park, for example, no, and I will be seeing kids with who tiptoes, and I try my best, not to jump on the parents and say, be careful, you need to work on tiptoeing, because they will be like, what? But it's, I cannot avoid it, I work with kids every single day, many hours per day, and it is basically my life. So when I go outside, when I see a kid, my eyes are, boom, open. But many parents tend to take it easy, because there is a phase between when the child starts walking, but it's not yet reaching the walking, and there is a momentum when he or she opt for tiptoeing time to time. You have to make sure that this doesn't become a habit, because once it becomes a habit, the sensory system, it's mixed with behavior, etc., and then it's very complicated to get out of it. So I always say, like, be very, very, very careful with what your kid is doing, or your kid, or your student, or anyone who is, who would be who will benefit from these suggestions. I don't tell you to stop. So when you see a kid obviously tiptoeing, you don't have to stop, but we always try to teach certain techniques to avoid the tiptoeing. So putting some pressure on the shoulders, massaging a lot, etc., etc. Exactly. So I'm just going to read it loud. Sensory and behavior. Good to hear this from you. Really appreciate you for clarifying this as an OT professional. You are more than welcome. If it's behavior, not just tiptoeing, any other symptoms also. Does ABA plus OT help them for behavior issues, or just OT is enough? If the behavior doesn't extend to the point where it's not controlled, you need to apply ABA therapy. If the behavior is something that you can control within the therapy session, and the parents are controlling at home, and the school is controlling, sometimes there is no need to go for ABA, because obviously certain behaviors are always within us. So we are all behavior. We do like sometimes things, sometimes we get angry, sometimes we get, a little bit out of the mood, but we all as human beings, we have behavior, but you have to make it clear what is the limit between, okay, this is tolerable, so this is something that it's okay, acceptable, and it's manageable, and when it's going outside of your power, when you see that you as a therapist, you are not managing to keep the kid inside of the session, or you are losing the attention, you are losing the fluency of the session, etc., etc. So I will suggest that it's a little bit under your judgment, I will say, but I can clearly know when I have a client in front of me and I need the help of an ABA, or I have a client in front of me and I am okay, I can manage. If I see that the session one after other, I am not managing, then I will suggest an ABA to join the team, because obviously it's going to help a lot. But when I see that I am managing and the parents are managing and certain behaviors are taught from occupational therapy point of view as well, there is no such need. As an occupational therapist, I like to enter in many areas. I like to enter in the speech therapy area and the ABA area, not because I want to be called a speech therapist or ABA therapist at all. I respect each profession, but I believe that for a good therapist, you need to be a little bit of a holistic approach. Not meaning that you need to know every single therapy, but in your therapy, you have to make sure that you do the most of it. So if there is a need to touch a bit of certain vocalization or maybe certain sounds, why not? If you need to touch a little bit of fine motor skills, gross motor skills, why not? That's your job. If you need to to do a little massage because you need to relax the muscle, why not? Just learn how to do it and do it. I guess no, the parents who are coming for therapy, they are paying money, especially if it's a private sector, but they want results. They don't want you to just stay in front of the kid telling how bad is the kid or how good is the kid. They want results. And I always push myself that I want to make sure that with the parents that I work, I provide results, you know, so that's very important. So I like to enter in many areas, and behavior, I love it. I do believe in discipline, I do believe in education, I do believe that it's very important to make sure that you control your kid, you know what is how to teach him the yes and the no, the good and the bad, etc., etc. It's super important, not because for you to say I am a good parent, I am a very strict parent, not at all, but more because in the future, you know, that your son or your daughter will be aligned with within the society, you know, the best out of it, of course. There are certain rules in society, they need to be respected, you know, and we cannot do anything about it. We all function like that. No, so I like to believe that we need a little bit of discipline, and we need a little bit of, you know, structure. So if you, as a therapist, you can do that, and you are making sure that your child is under control in the sense of he is paying attention, he is doing the activities, etc., there is no need for you to apply for an ABA. But this is something that is obviously totally personal advice and personal how to say, point of view. I am not interfering in any way. Every therapist should do how they want, how they believe, and how they feel more comfortable during the therapy sessions. No, I was just discussing with my colleague yesterday that our job is very difficult. We give a lot of energy, hour per hour per hour per hour. No, so sometimes I know that sometimes the parents will say like, it's a private sector, it's still you are doing it. No, there is a economical reinforcement for sure. Yes, because we need to pay staff, definitely. But it's a job that requires a lot of energy, requires a lot of training and professionalism to keep your kid attentive, to make sure to take out of it the best of the session, and to make sure that your child improves. So I believe that this type of profession within therapeutic jobs, no, they are super powerful, and it's for me it's an obligation, not to make sure that you do the best of it, or you at least you try to do the best of it, and then if it doesn't happen, well, but at least we try. Because like I said, we work with parents who wants to see results, and they want to see their kid improve, no, and we want to see the children improve as well. So it's a win-win for everybody. So yes, that was a little bit the topic of today. Sorry, I went a little bit out of, but I love to, I love our profession. I love what I'm doing. I love working with kids, and I like to give a little bit of awareness, you know, and why not to speak a little bit from my point of view. Obviously, we are all different. We all see the things differently, but we need to work in inclusion. All of us, you know, it is not one person or two persons, you know, or one particular place. We have to all work on this awareness and bring this, you know, the best of it, of this profession, and obviously show how important it is. Thank you for your honest answer. You're very welcome. More than welcome. Thank you very much for watching and for following, definitely. So yes, today it was a little bit about tiptoeing and a little bit about these nice questions. Thank you for asking such a good questions. Thank you for following. Every Wednesday I connect at the same time. I try my best to be punctual, but I connect for a couple of minutes to chat a little bit with you, to talk about a topic, and obviously answer your questions if you have any. And definitely I am looking forward to see you next week. So for today, that was, let me read you. I am an SLP for 12 years, so I can understand you. Thanks for this live. Keep doing more. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Yes, I've been a therapist myself over 10 years now as well. So it's we understand each other. That's great. Yes, very good. Okay, so I wish you a good week, great day. I will be back with another topic next Wednesday. And if you have questions, write them down, send me on my social media. You have my Instagram, my Facebook, you have all the social medias. If you want to support me, follow Panacea Therapy Center on Instagram. Thank you very much. And in Facebook if you want. So we are posting videos over there and stuff. And I will be seeing you next week. Okay. Bye bye.